Okay, well, let us see. Okay, I don't think that there's anyone
Do you
here yet.
see do you see who's joining if someone joins?
Yeah, usually you do if you see if someone joins, and I don't know if you can open on the right-hand part of the screen. There's a chat option. Do you see that?
No.
Ooh, my.
In the setting?
For me, it was just the right-hand side of the browser window. So right now we have 0 people watching.
Oh,
So we
private
can,
chat. No, that's
yeah.
a private chat. But is that a private chat?
Oh, there
Oh,
might be a private chat, and then also, well, since no one is watching right now, I don't think that we can see the chats, but they should automatically like pop in. So, but at the very top, well, I don't know if you can see what I see, but at the very top it shows live and then the time and then how many people. Oh, there's one person. Hello, whoever joined.
hello.
So I guess let's get this started since I think that I can download this video and then eventually it will be uploaded. So my name is Brenda Lamboy. I'm here with the DAD as a social media and marketing assistant. So I'm helping with stuff like Restream and Livestream. So I am here with Honey Geist, who is going to talk a little bit about herself and then get into the study scholarship.
Hello for everyone joining live. My name is Honey Geist. I represent DAD USA here in the Western region of the United States. I'm in the San Francisco office, and I've been with DAD since 2014. So I've been through, or 13 even, I've been through a few application cycles, and I can share a little bit of more information about DAD, but also the study scholarship specifically. So DAD's headquarters is in Bonn, but we do have 2 offices, one in New York and myself in San Francisco. And that's mostly relevant for you in that the program officers where you submit the application and where the committee will sit to decide, they're going to be in New York. But when it comes to applying, when it comes to information, you can all find that on our dad.org page. And you can always get in touch with either the New York office or my office. Now, the study scholarship is a very attractive scholarship because at the end of the day, you can get funding for a full 2 years to pursue masters in Germany. What that means is that since there are no tuition fees at public German universities, what that means is the DAD study scholarship covers your living expenses. So you get $861 a month, or euros rather, a month. You get health insurance and a lump sum for your travel expenses. So really, you should not need to worry about your daily expenses for food and for your accommodations. And so the deadline to apply is November 4th. And we definitely recommend you apply as early as possible. However, you don't necessarily need to submit it right this day or next week necessarily. Well, you should. Actually, it's the end of October, so never mind. You should look into that fairly quickly. But what I'm trying to say is that until the deadline, November 4th, no applications will be evaluated. So you don't necessarily have to submit it as early as possible. But as it is with all portals and online applications, we suggest you apply a few days at least ahead of the schedule, just so that you make sure that your application is submitted on time and it's complete. If there are currently no questions, maybe just a little bit of information in general of the questions that we usually receive, and that may help you in preparing your application. The first relevant information is that on our dad.org page, we have a subpage specifically for the study scholarship. And that includes information that I just shared with you, what the terms of rewards are. But you will also have detailed information on the deadline and where to apply. The link will lead you to the DAD application portal. And then on the right-hand side of that page, you have a very detailed checklist. So you can just download that. You can print it out if you want, and you can go through that checklist and really make sure you submit all the documents that are necessary. And there's also the form for the language requirements. So really everything that you need is on that page. And then sometimes you still have open questions. And what I would suggest for that, you can go to our FAQ page. One is specifically for the study scholarship. And one of the questions, for example, we get frequently, and that's answered on that FAQ page is, well, I'm not yet enrolled at a university. I haven't even applied yet. So if you want to apply for funding for 2 full years, it is necessary for you to apply a year ahead. And for our scholarship, and that's about true for Fulbright, for example, too, for other scholarships, is that you apply before you apply to the university. Sometimes you may have applied to the university, but you don't know yet if you got accepted. For the DAD study scholarship, if you want the funding for the full 2 years, say you want to start next year, October 2022, you apply by November 4th this year. You can apply as a senior. So if you're in your last year, you're welcome to apply. If you say, oh, I wanted some time off, I want to work, there are other things I want to do, you can apply to this grant up to 6 years after graduation. And so in terms of a timeline, usually what happens is you need to know what programs you're interested in. You need to indicate what programs you're interested in, but you will apply to the DAD study scholarship. You'll usually find out early April, and only after that, for most programs, you will apply and then find out when you get accepted a little bit later. And only then you will have to submit that document or the information that you got accepted and in fact enrolled at a university. So that's kind of the timeline for the DAD scholarship. But as I said, if you're interested in any other funding, you also apply fairly early on. And so just keep that in mind. So that's a little bit of general information. If there are no questions right now,
there is a question, actually.
Okay.
So we got one asking about who can apply for the study scholarship. So Ray Wynn, she says, Ray says, I'm from the Pacific. Is this scholarship applicable for students in the Pacific? So who can apply to this scholarship?
So when you say Pacific, what specifically? I mean, that's not...
Well, maybe just like who can apply? Is it U.S. and Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, so just U.S. and Canadian
No.
citizens, or
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's the question. So if you're an international student, for example, and you are enrolled full-time at a university here in the US, and you also receive your bachelor's degree from a US institution, you are eligible to apply to the DAD USA Study Scholarship. So you don't have to be a US or Canadian citizen. Now, if you are tuning in from somewhere else and you have a degree not from a US institution, we have offices worldwide. And if that was the case, you would contact our local office. All of the offices worldwide have opportunities to study in Germany. In that case, you would just not apply through our DAD USA office. You would apply through a different office.
All right, thank you. So when you say you can have it up to 2 years, is there any funding for more than 2 years, or is it just like a 2-year deadline?
Yeah. So you can apply for funding for just 1 year, maybe because you have funding for the first year, maybe you just didn't get it, or you missed the deadline, or you forgot, you didn't know about it, then you're always eligible. If you fulfill the other requirements, you can always apply for funding just to fund your second year. Or if you pursue a master's in the US, you can apply for funding to stay in Germany at a university as part of your degree program here in the US. It's 2 years maximum because 2 years is the time usually that it takes for a master's degree. And we don't want you to drag it out and potentially get funding for longer. And so the program, if the program is a 2-year program, that's also the funding period, the maximum funding period that would be covered through DAD funding.
Okay, great. And we have a question that asks, what are the programs offered by DAD? So I'm assuming what scholarship opportunities are there, and also what how do you choose a master's institution in Germany?
Okay, so the first question is that maybe as a follow-up, is that in addition to the study scholarship, what other funding is available? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So to study on the master's level, that's the funding that's available. It's very flexible. It's open to all fields. You don't necessarily have to study a degree program in German. So it can be a program in English. It can be at any public accredited university in Germany. So really, you would have to elaborate why you want to study in Germany, why the specific program, why the university. But for the purpose of studying in Germany on the master's level, we only have the study scholarship. Now, we have other funding, but that would require you being enrolled at a university here. So if you're a bachelor student, for example, there is the university summer course grant. The deadline is actually coming up fairly soon too, December 1st. And that is where DAD funds 3 to 4 week summer courses at German universities, and you can apply as an undergraduate or as a master's student or even as a PhD student. And then the other funding that's pretty popular as well is actually not just funding. It's an internship program for science and engineering students. And we have that for the undergraduate level. That's a little bit more research focused in the lab. And then for the graduate students, it would be Rise Professional, which can be in the lab, but it could also be at a company. And so those are internship opportunities that are funded by DAD, where you also get health insurance and a travel subsidy. But for those, you would have to be enrolled or be a recent graduate. So those are the 3 funding opportunities, but specifically for a master's program, it's only the study scholarship. But you can look into other options. For example, Fulbright also has funding for that academic level.
So there's no specific scholarship for undergraduate degrees, or is that like a whole
No.
different? Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole different. Maybe as an addition, I said that it's open to all fields, and it is open to all fields. However, if it's any artistic musical field, then there are separate study scholarship for visual arts, for music, for architecture, for example. And those have slightly different application requirements. You have to submit a portfolio, for example, that is directly administered in our Bonn office. And the deadline is not November 4th. It has different deadlines for each individual funding scheme. So if you are student in an artist or musician, you will also find that information on the study scholarship page, and it's just going to be a separate page for each of the study scholarships. Now to the second question that was asked a few sentences ago on how to find a degree program. So on the dad.de page, you can find degree programs. It's a database. You can filter by field. You can filter by language. You can even filter by city, for example. Another website is study-in-germany.de, and that has a fantastic website in general, anything related to studying in Germany, also how to find accommodation, just general information for anyone interested in studying in Germany. But you can also find a database to identify programs in your field. And if you type in a specific field or a specific degree program and nothing comes up, just think about other ways to describe that field because it may be available, just not under the description or the field or the degree program specifics that you typed in.
And do you have to know German fluently to do this?
So the no and yes and no. So the DAD study scholarship is available to anyone in any field, and you can use that for a degree program that's offered entirely in English. And if that's the case, then for the application, you don't have to show any proof of German skills. It's beneficial always, also for integrating into the community, just to understand a little bit better, understanding German bureaucracy. It'll definitely make that a whole lot easier. But for the DAD application, if your degree program is in English, you don't have to know German. Now, if the degree program you're interested in requires some German skills, you would also have to show proof of that when you apply to the study scholarship, because the assumption is if you apply for the DAD scholarship for a degree program, you have to be able to successfully apply to that program. And so really it depends on the degree program and the requirements, and based on that, that's required for the DAD application. And as you can hear, I'm a little bit congested, so I have to mute myself and blow my nose. But you can already maybe, Brenda, if there are other questions, you can already shoot that my way.
Well, we just had a question on region. So again, study scholarship is for those who have gotten a degree in the US. So even if you're international, you can still get the study scholarship if you have gotten a US degree. And then I think that's around it. But I did have a question. How do you prove German speaking capabilities? Is that like through a Goethe exam, or does someone have to like have a checklist or something and say you can speak German? Or
Yeah, so we have on the study scholarship page, and on the other pages too, we have an internal DAD language form, and you could take that to a German professor, for example. It can be one that you had yourself. If you acquire German skills outside of the university, but you have a German program on campus, you can always ask for an evaluation. And chances are, if it has a German program, a lot of the professors are familiar with DAD applications and the language form. But you can also show German skills, through Goethe Institute, a certificate, any other language certificate. But it has to be either through a professor or an official test. So just showing proof that you took a course, for example, that wouldn't be enough.
okay.
But then if the degree program requires German skills, you would want to get on top of that as early as possible. Ideally, already you would have that by the time of the application, because once you apply to the university, you will have to have everything already. And sometimes it takes a while to make an appointment, to get the results, and then get the certificate. So if you need official German skills, like show proof that you're at a certain level, you should get onto that as soon as possible.
And you said the deadline is November 4th. When should everyone start typing in all their information right now? Like what's the best way to go about the application process?
So first of all, November 4th, however, it's German time, and that's every year we got a few who wait till the last minute, and sometimes they're on the West Coast, and then they think, oh, I have the whole day, but then 3 p.m. San Francisco time, that will be 6 p.m. New York time, is when the application portal closes. So make sure, well, as I said, don't wait until the last day. But if you do have to wait for whatever reason, you have to do it early in the morning to make sure it's on time. Really, you can start your application at any point. You can upload documents. Maybe just if you wait for a reference form or some other documents, you can start your application, you can save your application, and then just wait until you have everything to then submit. Again, you have to submit by the deadline. You can always, for example, if we ask for an official transcript, you have only the unofficial one, upload that, submit your application, and if the program officer really needs it, they will ask for it. But really, it's crucial for you to officially submit it. If it's not officially submitted, if it's not in the system, you can bribe us, you can plead with us, you can, but unfortunately, there is nothing we can do. So really make sure it's submitted officially. And for that, life happens, technical issues happen. There's so many scenarios, and just for you to know that you've submitted it, I would at least do it 2-3 days prior to the deadline, and plan on that. Just have your internal deadline for yourself, say November 1st. Because things do happen and life happens.
So if a
And
student emails you at like 1 in the morning Pacific Coast time, there's nothing that can be done?
no.
Okay, good to know.
So really, when you think of the DAD application, the application is all centrally administered now, in terms of all the documents go into one system, which is a DAD portal, and that is set to German time. So wherever you are, the deadline is always the German time, and so just keep that in mind.
Good to know, yeah. Do you have any top tips for, like, the application?
Well, the first one is always get as much information as possible. So you do that if you're here in the live stream. You do that now. If you watch this at a later point, that's a great start to just finding out as much as possible as you can. All of our scholarships and funding opportunities have individual pages on our website. For USA applicants, go to the DAD.org website, and then each page has information on the terms of award, but then also detailed information on the application process. And then again, we also have an FAQ page. So it seems kind of redundant, and maybe, this is not too relevant, I can skim it. Really read everything, maybe read it twice, read it 3 times, because a lot of the questions that we get is usually somewhere on our website, either the funding page or the FAQ page. And then that's another reason why you should start early. All of the contact information is transparent. It's everywhere in our website, and you are invited, and we encourage you to ask questions. If you have questions with the application and you're not quite sure what to submit, or what a certain form, line requests, so you can always get in touch with us. But we also get busier. There are other conferences, there are other things to do. So if you start early, the likelihood that we have more time to really reply as soon as possible, maybe even get on the phone with you if you have specific questions, maybe talk to you a little bit more about master's program selections. And we're happy to do that, but you would have to do that as early as possible. And then really, when it comes to the application, you have to submit a proposal and why you want to go to Germany, why a specific program. And it's not that we ask for something specific or that we only support master's programs at certain university. It's very individual. But for example, if you say you want to study business and international business, what is the financial hub in Germany? It's Frankfurt. And so for other degree programs, for other fields, that there are other cities that are well known, that are have their focus in certain cities. And so you would have to do your research because the committee will be experts in the field. And if you say you want to go to Berlin, but there is no reason really when it comes to the degree program and when it comes to where the universities are to focus on this certain topic, then you will likely not be very successful. And then you want to go into detail why a specific program, maybe how that ties into your bachelor's program, maybe also what your future goals are, either professionally or academically. And so really look into the degree programs, maybe even look at the specific courses that are offered, look at the professors that are there that maybe you would like to work with. So really try to be as specific as possible, and then utilize the resources on your own campus, whatever it's called, but you may have a writing center, you may have a career center, you may have a study advisor, you may have just a professor that you get along with and could ask, and take your study proposal and your information to those offices and have them take a look at it. It's often not great for someone to judge your writing. I know it's sometimes really uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, if you go through that, if you have 2 or 3 drafts, it's usually better. And Brenda is a PhD student, and you're also a teacher, so you can probably second that.
Oh, definitely. Always edit, 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 edit. Nothing's good on the first draft.
It is. And if someone says it is, they're lying. So really take it to someone from your field, but also just take it to someone who's not in your field, but in academia. And if it absolutely doesn't make sense to a person, then maybe you want to reconsider maybe how to phrase it and how to really advocate for yourself and say why you should get the funding. And this also includes maybe why this is relevant in academia, why this is relevant for your own career. So really, a lot of the students that are not successful is because they have a study proposal that's just really superficial, that is not really it's just, oh, I want to study in Munich or Berlin, but there is really no academic reason why to go there, or professional reason. So really, you want to do your research. And now everything being online, you can go to the university websites. You can even see what archives are nearby if that's what you do. If again, Frankfurt, if you're in the financial business, there are so many companies nearby, so you could also elaborate on what's around the university, and maybe where you could do an internship, research institutions, for example. So look at the university, but then also look at the city and kind of the surrounding universities and research institutes. And so those are the big things. Have it on time, read through everything, study proposal. And then something that I didn't know when I applied for funding was how much you can actually do yourself to get a good reference letter or recommendation form. So you really want to ask a professor, you want to ask someone who you worked with, who really knows you, and you're not just a name on a roster. So if you're an undergraduate, for example, in a field where you work with a lot of teaching assistant, if really you have a teaching assistant who you taking classes with, you could, in theory, ask the teaching assistant, but then you do want to ask a professor to co-sign. So really, ideally, you have a professor's signature. And if you don't have that, make appointments for office hours, and then take your study proposal to professor and talk about your academic goals and what you've done. And then even a professor like that, looking at your transcripts, talking to you maybe a few times, looking at your study proposal, they may also be able to evaluate your academic merit and also your proposal, how feasible that is. So those are really the 3 main things to for successful application.
Perfect. I think that really helped clear things up. I don't know. I don't think that we have any new questions. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Yeah, so we are here as official DAD staff to share information and provide really input. And if you have any questions, you can always get in touch with us. But we also have young ambassadors. So those are students on the undergraduate level who either studied in Germany or did an internship in Germany, maybe spend a high school year in Germany through, for example, the CBYX program. And those are students who get some training, get some insights, got information about our DAD funding, but most importantly for you, have experience going to Germany. So pick their brains. Some of them had DAD funding, so you can ask them about their application experience, about their time in Germany. So you could get in touch with them, even if they're not on your campus. You can find, if you just Google DAD USA Young Ambassadors, you'll get to that page. And each young ambassador has their own little profile with information on what they study, where they study in the US or Canada, where they studied in Germany, and they will also have their contact information. So a lot of them would be thrilled to share their experience with you, but then maybe also are able to share a little bit more information about the application process. So really take advantage of the resources that are available on your own campus, then our expertise if you have additional questions, but then also the young ambassadors.
We have a question which I do not know the answer to. What are the best cities for studying engineering and for technology-based degrees? Would that be something that you can find on our website?
Yeah, so that is actually, if you want a specific link, send an email. If you can type Brenda, ip.sanfrancisco@dad.de, send me an email. I can send you the link. That might be easier. There are certainly cities and that we identified and put together like a little overview. But other than that, I always suggest you talk to your own professors. Oftentimes, they have connections. If they don't have personal connections, they definitely know maybe what institutes are relevant for your field, and they may guide you to the right like kind of university contact. But then also, when you read texts, when you learn about professors and engineers and researchers, look up their profile, look at where they are researchers, where they studied. And so it takes a little bit of time. I'm not an engineer. I'm a humanities major. But through just cross-referencing, so doing your own research with articles that you read, and then really getting in touch with your own professors on your own campus, they can also give you more input. And then if you send me a specific email, I'm also happy to share some links with you on our website. And then there's always search engines to also identify research institutes. So for that, you can type in engineering, but also your specific field of interest. And I'm certain you will find many results.
So are you the go-to contact person when it comes to the study scholarship, or are there other people that you can contact within the DAD also?
Yeah, so that's what I said was we're transparent and we want you to get in touch with us if you have questions. So all of our funding opportunities, all of those sub pages have on the very bottom, they have a contact information. So that would be the program officer specifically for that grant, for that funding opportunity. But then we have two general email addresses where any questions you can just send. And if it's a question specifically for a program officer and we don't know the answer, then we will forward that. But so it's my contact ip.sanfrancisco@dad.de, and then you can add that, Brenda. It's also daad.newyork@dad.de. So go to the specific funding page, go to the bottom, you'll find a specific contact, and otherwise those two general email addresses will be happy to answer questions too.
Okay, well, no new questions have come in, so I'm not sure when, if you have anything else to add or.
No, I mean, usually the questions come up when you start the application, but maybe you can add that also in the chat. The Study in Germany website that really has all the information, anything related to studying in Germany, also finding the program. And then when it comes to general information about studying in Germany, also finding a degree program, another database, also finding accommodation, that will be on our general daad.de page that really has a wealth of information for anyone who wants to study or do research in Germany.
All right, perfect. Well, I think that was a really helpful talk with you, honey. So thank you so much for doing this.
It's kind of weird to not see who's on the other side,
Mm.
but I'm glad you're there, so I feel like I can talk to you at least.
Yeah. At least there's me to spring off of. Yeah, perfect. All right. Well, I will have to say thank you to everyone who joined, and hopefully
Thank
this
you.
will be on YouTube very soon, so you can watch it to see if there's any other questions that
Yeah.
have been answered here. So yeah, thank you once again. Yeah, and I will say goodbye to you.
And if I just as a final note, if you do apply, good luck. I hope you get the funding, and if you do, always get in touch with us, and maybe you're a young ambassador at some point. Maybe share your experience. Looping back now to Brenda, because we always look for photos and stories of ambassadors and DAD scholarship recipients. So hopefully this is the start of your DAD journey, and if you get the scholarship, which of course I hope you do, then please make sure to get in touch with us again and share your story.
Yeah, we love that. So thank you again, and I will see all of you guys sometime in the near future. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.